right, let's get into some economic issues, because it really is the case of two Australias at the moment, isn't it? Outside of Victoria, small businesses are starting to see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel following that first wave of lockdowns back in March and the gradual easing of restrictions in Victoria. As you've heard, it's gone from bad to worse. It's gone from shutdown to lockdown, and I reckon from here on in to wipeout. Peter Strong is the CEO of the Council of Small Business Organisations Australia, and he joins me now from Canberra. We'll touch on Victoria if we can, then I want to go to the other states. But Peter, you know small business inside out. On a personal level, I just can't fathom, you know, it's been death by 1,000 cuts since March for so many of these businesses. How on earth, looking at what was announced this afternoon by the Premier, how on earth is it that they survive? How do they survive?
Well, that's a great question, and I've got to say a lot of people out there have been really supportive of small business. I think I've mentioned our campaign before, the Go Local First, and you know the need for small businesses are part of the fabric of society. We need them, so a lot of people have been very good at supporting their local small businesses. But there's a lot out there that are just, well, not even treading water. They're just waiting until JobKeeper runs out, and then they're going to close. I mean, there's nothing else for them. And Peter, we're really calling for voucher support. So give a voucher to a small business that is going to close, or one that can restructure, and help them get the expert advice from the accountants and from the bookkeepers and whoever else that they need. But at the moment, we just can't seem to get that sort of support. And you know, Peter, these are individuals. These are human beings. They're going through their own hell. They've got their own families, and they've got staff to look after. They've got customers, and we've really got to support them.
What percentage do you think in Victoria will hit the wall on the back of these announcements?
It's an awful question. So we've said 20% of what the OECD said, 20% of businesses in Australia will close. So you'd have to think, given that they've gone a long time without any business coming in, you know, we could get to 30, 40% of businesses. Let's hope that we don't, but hairdressers have gone through their own hell. We've seen restaurants, all those sorts of people have gone through their own hell. So I think it's going to be quite a high figure. But what we need to do is help them close so they can reopen again in 6 months' time or a year's time, help them keep their house, help them keep their health so they can come back again. A lot of them will come back if we give them that capability.
So you're asking for the federal government there, or the state government, to provide them with some business continuity planning? Is that the best support, you think?
Exactly, and as I say, even it sounds very negative, we're going to help them close, but if they close properly, they can reopen. So as a business continuity, I have to change. I've got to do something different. I've got 10 staff, but I know I can only use 3. So let's give them a hand restructuring. Let's give them a hand picking who stays and who goes. And that way they can stay open and start to re-employ people as please the economy recovers next year.
All right, let's look around the rest of the country. I'm conscious that Melbourne has the busiest port in the Southern Hemisphere. There could well be plenty of supply chain issues for other businesses around the country with these closures, industry-wide closures in Victoria tonight. How are people travelling outside of Victoria? How is business faring? And will they be held back by these changes, or will they be able to work through them, do you think?
Oh, well, certainly some businesses will be held back if they close the port. There's businesses that rely upon the goods that come in, and they're transported into New South Wales or South Australia or wherever, into warehouses and sent on. So there's certainly businesses will be affected by that. And what we need to know, we talked about transparency before, which businesses will be impacted, what sort of goods come in there, publish that. Let us know exactly what's going on so the other businesses that rely upon them get an idea of what won't be turning up, and they can start to plan themselves to deal with that situation. But outside Victoria, businesses, you go to West Australia, there are a lot of happy businesses there. But again, you've got, it was explained to me with the music industry over there that, yeah, they're getting a few events happening, etc., but it doesn't work like that. You don't have the same band every week, and everybody goes back every week. After a while, you've got to get another band in. And normally it's interstate bands are the ones that attract other people, and the West Australian bands travel interstate, and that's where they get a lot of their work. But of course, the travel isn't allowed, so we've got businesses still suffering, but others are going okay. We're in West Australia, congratulations to them. Well done, and businesses are going okay, but it's still it depends where you are. And you talked before about being prepared. We must learn from Victoria. We must learn from what they've done right and what they've done wrong. And we've got to make sure all the other states are ready to use that learning if they have to.
Just a quick one before we go. The budget's in October. I know the rhythm of Canberra right now, there's always the usual round of budget meetings. I suppose most of them are happening on Zoom or remotely. They're not necessarily where lobbyists can get inside the door. What do you want from government, and are you being listened to?
Well, we're being listened to. We know we are. We always want to be listened to more, but we are being listened to. We have a weekly meeting. We have a communique. The government reads that every week. We have government officials turn up to our meetings and listen and hear what's going on. We've got to concentrate on manufacturing and value adding. That's what I'm really hoping to see from the budget. Now, people are saying we've really got to understand the new world before we start putting money out there. But I think we even if the budget says, well, here are the three options we have, this is the money we've allocated across these options, but we've got to get manufacturing going and we've got to get value adding happening big time in Australia.
All right, we'll watch it all closely, and key in all of that is got to be energy pricing for manufacturing to come back to Australia. Peter Strong, as always, thanks for your time.